Good evening and welcome back to Mystic Matters. We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, Kristen.
Good evening, Suzette.
Well, we are in the swing of things of summer.
Yes.
And finally getting warmer.
Finally getting warmer. That's how we do it in New England.
Yeah, we wait.
Yeah.
But you know what? Great on air conditioning costs and things like that.
Sorry,
but, you know,
Dudley.
Yeah, sorry, Jonathan. I know you're a very good member, but that's another story in itself. Kristen, what's going on down at the Chamber?
So we are looking for volunteers for the August Mystic Outdoor Art Festival.
Yeah, coming up in a couple of weeks. Well,
This is so much fun, this art festival. Volunteering is a great thing for the community, and you get to walk around and look at the art, you know, and
some of our artists, Kristen, you've got to know them pretty well too. Having served a year under the belt with the art festival, have been there. I mean, we have one that's been there almost 50 years.
Yeah.
And this is our 59th year, so we'll be celebrating our 60th year next year for the art festival. But we'll be lining the streets once again, August 13th and 14th, the second weekend.
13th and 14th.
The second
Always
weekend.
the second week.
In August, but
Yes.
so we're looking forward to that too.
Yep.
And we've got a couple of other things going on, right?
We do. So the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce has presented these learning lunches. So every third Wednesday, we have a learning lunch. And this is a special series. It's called Digital Content Create versus Buy. When do you buy digital content? When do you pay someone to do it for you? And when do you do it yourself? So Sam Chesbrough
Chesbrough, yes.
is
Hosting.
these lunches, and it's back-to-back the 20th and the 27th. You can sign up at mysticchamber.org.
It sounds great. Now,
Yeah.
we've talked about exactly what the lunches are about, but is there lunch?
There is lunch.
Okay, that's all I
we
need to
usually
know.
call a member restaurant or a member cafe, and we have a little lunch. So we provide lunch. It's only $5 for members, $10 for the public. Anybody can come and learn. That's what we try to do, provide some learning opportunities. And Sam is actually a new member, and so, you know, we're getting him out there.
It's
promoting
fantastic.
him.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So we've got a great show tonight, Kristen, and I'd like to bring back somebody that's actually has been, you know, we've talked about doing the show for the last 20 years, and I think Susan has been on at least once a year for the last 10 years. I don't even want to go there because we'll span out a little bit. We've got the wonderful and the one and only Mark Jones on my left-hand side. But you know what, Susan, we're going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to introduce you, and with our part of the GBA, the Groton Business Association, and you're a board member as well.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so welcome back, Susan Bailey.
Thank you.
I'm going to have you introduce Mark Jones.
Great. Well, I am very happy to have with us today my colleague at the Navy base. He is the Assistant Public Affairs Officer at Submarine Base New London, Mark Jones.
Thank you
Welcome,
very
Mark.
much.
Welcome
Pleasure to be
to
here.
the show. So, you know, we're talking about a real great event. And prior to the show, Kristen and the four of us, we were just talking a little bit about our involvement with the sub-base. And I'm going to let you start, Susan, with what is going on.
What is going on, Suzette, is a year-long celebration of submarines in the state of Connecticut. In 1915, the first submarines came up the Thames River in October of 1915. So we began our year-long celebration then. And
We did?
We did.
We did.
We
I don't know
did.
about you, Mark, but I wasn't born. But I mean, that's okay.
No, in October.
October of 2015.
Merciless. In this past October,
Yeah.
2015, we began our celebration at the Groton Fall Festival, which is the Groton Business Association annual festival. And we have been ramping up since then. There is a website with oodles of events that have components of the submarine base, whether it's history or arts or culture or music or creating things for children or history. There is even a health walk over at Pequannock Park now where there's a children's book on each page is on a pedestal, and you have to walk the track to read the book. So we're combining physical fitness with submarines, learning about submarines, and reading.
I really like the component on the
Trifecta.
website. Isn't that the one where you can put in your story with the hashtag Submarine Proud? Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
I love this.
We're going to give you one for
I'm
your
going to
store.
walk away. Yes, I'm going to walk, and a poster too.
So, in the beginning of this of our Connecticut Submarine Century, we have we needed to find a way for social media wise that
Right.
people could share their stories. We had so many people coming up to us talking about when their father served in the submarine force, or their brother worked at Electric Boat Company, or one way or another that somehow they in this community, as many people are tied to the submarine force. And so we have asked people throughout this year to either on Facebook or on Instagram or on our Twitter account to put up their story of why they are connected to the submarine force and how that makes them submarine proud. So. And so it's been neat. We made a big sign, what used to be the old highway sign out on I-95.
Yeah.
It's now on wheels, and we wrote "Submarine Proud" on the side of it, and we have that right outside the main gate of the base now. We have T-shirts that have been made that say "Submarine Proud" on them, and we are constantly just asking people
This
when
is wonderful.
when they're around town, they see the new. Artistic submarines that were made last month, and there are
Oh,
21
they're
of them
so
all around town.
adorable.
I
Right.
walked. I think it was the aquarium.
They have one,
They
yes.
have one.
Yes.
The aquarium has one right there, and I Charter Oak.
Yes, Charter Oak has one.
Seaport has
Yeah.
one that
has
looks just
one.
like Nemo.
Electric Boat has two.
Electric Boat
And,
has.
right.
There's a brochure. You can actually follow the trail.
There's actually an
There's
app
an
now.
app.
There's an
Yes,
app
an
you can download on your phone for that too.
Mark, I do have a question before we
Sure.
get into sort of the. I know that we want to talk about an event coming up, but in sort of the worldwide crises that we're having right now, and whether it's nationwide or the world, how important? Because I'm feeling the love for the submarines right now, and
Right.
just the idea that this is home based, in we can touch it, we can feel it, we can
Right.
we can look.
We live it.
We live it, and there's nothing like a submarine coming home. I used to be at Eastern Point and sort of remembering that. And I want to tell you how proudly those stories are when you go to other places throughout the country and you say, where do you live? Well, of course, back then it was the submarine capital of the world or whatever. And you say, well, the other day, my father was coming home and I just was watching the submarine coming down the Thames, and they're like, a submarine? And where you think, because you grew up here, that, well, doesn't everybody look at a submarine? I mean, I don't know. Don't you look at a submarine? You mean, we see it on the New London Day, hugs and kisses and the sailors and whatever. Do you not do that? Well, you know what? You don't, unless you get to live it here.
Right.
But I guess how important is to wrap ourselves around what's going on here at the submarine?
Well, again, this year marks the 100th birthday of not just submarine-based New London, but the first submarine base in the United States Navy.
Yeah.
And so we're really kind of the first designated submarine base worldwide. So this really has been, this area has been cutting edge technology when it comes to submarine warfare. And submarine warfare really cut its teeth during World War II, and then with the advent of nuclear power and Admiral Rickover and the USS Nautilus, really changed how our Navy and how our military project power abroad around the world. And a lot of that comes from right here in our town of Groton and the Southeast Connecticut community. And so I can understand, having lived here and having lived in probably a dozen other places in my civilian and in my military career, that I can seem to be a little bit complacent here. But when you think about what the boats that are built here, the men and women that build the boats and the men and women that take those boats out to sea, it's a pretty important deal when it comes to the national security of our country.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very eloquent way to put it. So, Susan, we have this event going on. Let's start with that.
We do. We actually have two events that the Groton Business Association is organizing. One of them is, both of them are on Friday, August 19th, which is National Aviation Day. Already, how many people know about National Aviation Day? It's something we need to promote.
Right,
Just
right.
like submarines.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's what the GBA is doing. We're putting them together. and we're doing it on August 19th. So during the day will be the 3rd annual open house and walking tour at the Groton New London Airport. Another thing that we are a bit complacent about here in Groton is the fact that we have an airport with a tower. Not every town has that. We have commercial, charter, military, schooling, all of those things are going on out at our very own airport. We don't get, very few people get to see what's the backstage, if you will. So this event, which is from 10 till 1 on Friday, August 19th, is a backstage tour. And we have, I believe, every airport tenant business now participating. So we will have timed demonstrations at Survival Systems. Survival Systems is a business that teaches aviation people, both private rescue from whatever component of aviation, they teach them how to survive ditching an aircraft in water.
Did you do that when we went to business after hours?
I did not do it, no.
I went to that business after hours. So they got this contraption and they turn you upside down underwater. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's what I said.
It ditches, it flips over.
Yeah.
They train people how to escape from that. But while that's happening, it's not just like a pool. There is lightning, thunder, wind, rain, all of that is going on, because who ditches an airplane in fine weather, right? So that's how they train you. That's just one of the things they do there, and you get to
on
see
an airplane next week. Okay, thank you very much, Susan.
Maybe you should take a quick trip over to Survival Systems. We have the National Guard TASM facility there where helicopters come in, they take them apart, they put them back together, because after a deployment, everything needs to work perfectly before it goes out again. You can see that. We have Civil Air Patrol. We will have military aircraft coming in. Mark is working on getting us some Navy aviation because the Navy flies.
Right.
There are even submarine ties to aviation. The Mystic Jet Center is a private facility, a fixed base operation they call it, where charter and private planes come in. We have a lot of private plane owners who keep their planes here, little planes that people can really relate to, especially kids. So I highly recommend this event. It's free. You get a map and you can walk at your own speed. We will have volunteers for wayfinding to help everyone find what they need to find. It's going to be a really fun event.
And the Beacon's going to be open for lunch, right?
The Beacon is actually opening early that day.
Great.
So that they will serve.
And that's the restaurant within the...
Yes, that's in the restaurant in
Yeah.
the main terminal. They'll be serving breakfast and lunch. With a
friends of the GBA.
special airport aviation day menu. So they'll be making
What exactly is
special
an
things.
Aviation Day menu?
I don't know, but
Okay.
we'll go and find out.
Hot
We
dogs
could go
and
together.
We could
Are you
be
gonna be back?
like flying hot dogs or something like that.
So last year I went to that event, and we went to, my father and I were in this gigantic plane. It was maybe from the 60s.
It was a C-130.
The C-130, what is
They're
that?
still around.
What does
They're
that
still
mean? Why?
The C stands for cargo. It's mostly a cargo plane, and the 130 is just the model number of it. But that really, since the early 60s, since the pre-Vietnam era, has really been the workhorse of all of our militaries fly C-130s, and they have every type of use possible. But yes, they are still very much around, still very important to our military mission.
It was fun. He got all verklempt, because he was in the Air Force. And hadn't thought about it in however many years, but he was really, he understood, and I understood then, of course, seeing his emotion, the importance of it and how much it really meant to people to serve.
So we were just, before the show, Mark, I heard some of the conversation with you and Kristen talking about Groton Sub Base and London Sub. What can you give us a little bit of a history and what exactly
Sure.
should we be calling this?
Okay, the official name
Yeah.
is Submarine Base New London, Naval Submarine Base New London.
That is the official name.
That was
Okay.
the name that was given to the base in 1915.
Okay.
In October of 1915, Commander Yates Sterling was given orders by the Department of the Navy to stand up Submarine Base New London and the small amount of submarines flotilla that we had here, and then also stand up Naval Submarine School. So all that was stood up in what had been an old Navy stockyard, coaling station where ships would come in and refuel and get repaired, but it really was just, it wasn't truly a Navy base at that point. It had been around since about the 1860s, since the Civil War, as a coaling station. But in 1915, with the Simon Lake Company down in Bridgeport and Electric Boat Company right here in Groton, it was felt by the Department of the Navy that this should be where we are going to park our submarines. At that time, though, the land that is now Submarine Base New London was more associated with New London County than it was with the town and city of Groton. And so that's where the name evolved from. And for those first few years, the headquarters offices were actually in downtown New London. The piers where the ships were at were at the base, but the headquarters office for the commanding officers and some of the other high-ranking officials was in downtown New London. So that's really where the name comes from. We also like to say that is part of the stealth of the submarine force.
Yes.
We're over here in Groton.
Yes.
You think it's over there in New
but,
London.
we're
So we fooled
it's
you.
funny, in 60 years, 60 years now, just giving away some age here, I've always called it the Groton Subbase. That's just,
And that's
I mean,
okay.
and that's okay, isn't it? I mean,
Absolutely.
what did you call it?
I don't know, but I think you just breached national security or something.
And what?
Public access. Look out.
Yeah, well, I just grew up with Groton Subbase.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's true.
am I wrong here?
No,
I've never
I think of
called
it as Groton too.
Groton
But
Subbase.
we are on this side of
the river.
Right.
Yeah, so that's.
I
something
think
that-
all of New London County should be one city.
Okay, you know what? That's for another show.
Really?
But that really is for another show. So let's talk about what's happening that evening.
Sure. That evening, as part of the celebration of the 100 years, we are having a kind of a semi-formal, formal gala, just a cocktail party type thing, as we kind of close the summer down. Of celebrations, and so that evening, after the airport show and all the aircraft there, in the hangar, we're going to have music and food and some of the aircraft on display, along with some of our Navy craft on display, and we're just inviting the community to come out and enjoy some of the local food that is being catered here, enjoy the music and
Local food, Mark. Can we say some of the
have,
restaurants
yes,
that we can?
we are. Well, we
get?
are being. We will be catered by the Beacon Restaurant, which is the restaurant in the main terminal at the airport, and Ray's Catering of Groton.
Ray's Catering. of
Ray's
Groton.
Catering.
Okay.
He's on
is,
Main Street. He's
he's on
got the
Main
best
Street.
lobster
Street.
rolls in
Yep.
town.
Yep.
Now, exactly how do you know that, Kristen?
Because I got him to join the Mystic Chamber of Commerce.
By eating a lobster roll. This is great. You only
Yeah.
hear it here. I just want to say that.
That's my technique. Is,
Yes,
sample the wares.
Over lunch and then get him to join.
There you go.
right.
Yep.
So
They're,
have we
they're
had a-
family owned, and it's a great business. I've
Yeah.
been to events that they do.
They're great. It's really fun.
Is this now? Am I missing out here? Is this something that's been going on a while?
It has since,
Okay, but-
since October.
Okay, well, since October. So really,
1915.
1915.
but really, it's a collaboration. How did it all start? I mean, I really, it was like you, Mark, reaching out to us. And,
It's really been a collaboration of many people within the community.
their passion. For
I
the
think
base?
so.
Okay.
It's the passion between Mayor Galbraith and Mayor Flax and
Yeah.
the other community mayors have all gotten their staffs on board, and we created the Connecticut Submarine Century Executive Committee. But because it's in the military or military focus, we have to call it the CTXCOM.
Or
Well,
Who are my favorite,
Yeah.
Subsen XCOM.
Subset NextCom.
okay,
And
see
so,
this. See how we go back to the Groton sub base and the
Yep.
submarine base. I mean, see how this happens.
but we were able to get the Chamber of Commerce, the business communities, our schools, the libraries. We've had a lecture series all summer where the base commanding officer, Captain White Scarver, has gone to the different libraries in the community. We've invited members of the community onto the base and come sample lunch at our five-star galley and talk a little bit about how submariners eat. And then we had a huge birthday bash in June out at Washington Park. We just recently had another birthday celebration out at Fitch High School with some softball games and other things like that. And so it's really been a coming together of all the leaders in the communities and what they can bring to the table, and saying thank you to the submarine base for being a landmark and a pillar in this community.
It's
And
like
so-
the one thing that we all agree on.
That's true.
That is amazing. That
And
I
that's,
mean,
very,
and it had
that's a
to-
very important point.
like no
honestly.
hesitation whatsoever.
that everybody came together. I just think
Absolutely.
it's fabulous when this was brought forward with the chamber, that this wasn't thought of, because it makes sense. Years ago, I mean, air and sea, but maybe the right time with the century, celebrating.
You know, the Groton Business Association wanted to do a large event. That was what we decided we wanted to do. And because we also do the airplane tour, the airport tour, we thought, why let's do it at the hangar. Let's put the two of them together. And I just think it's going to be so fantastic.
It's going to be a
I'm
great
really
thing.
excited about it. We have the airplanes that are always at the airport and will be where we're having this event, range from all the way from Gulfstreams down to dinky little Warriors that are, little two-person planes. And to be able to be up close with those things is
it's
an
amazing.
unusual
Yeah.
experience.
Now that evening, is there a keynote speaker, or is it just a cocktail? It's not a sit-down dinner.
No, it's just cocktail party. There's going to be a few, little brief thank yous and whatnot. There really is going to be a lot of.
It's just everybody coming together.
Everyone
and
coming
celebrating.
together
Yeah.
and celebrating.
Yeah.
It's we're trying to make it as relaxing as possible. So it's nothing very formal, but obviously again the community leadership and the base leadership will be there. But I think it's just more of a welcoming to the community, saying thank you to the sub base, and then the sub base saying thank you back to the community for helping us celebrate this milestone of our submarine century.
Just a little bit of a question that I didn't really know to ask, except that now that you're on the show, there used to be a very, very big population of Navy and Navy children. Has that declined, Mark, over the years?
I can only speak for in the past 8 or 9 years that I have been at the base here
Right.
and whatnot. The base population has gone down as part of the submarine forces plan. They have actually moved
As a whole, yeah.
as a whole. They have moved more submarines over to the West Coast. And so they're more stationed in Hawaii and San Diego than there are here traditionally that were on the East Coast. But that doesn't mean that the number of sailors has gone down in a way. We still have submarine school, which has at any given time up to 2,500 students.
Right, big training.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Training.
And they're there for 3 months to up to a year in training before they would go onto their boat. And so we'd have at any given time about over 5,000, 6,000 people or uniformed personnel that are on the base, and then another 3,000 or so civilian personnel that work on the base in different
That's
assets.
a big number.
It
That's
is.
still a
It
very
really
big
is a big number. And then of course just down the river, the Electric Boat Company and their recent acquisition into designing the new generation of submarines that are going to be coming in the water in the next 30 years. And so that's going to really keep a lot of the Navy presence in this area. And on the waterfront today, there's 15 submarines that call Naval Station New London home. And
15?
15, yes. But
That's a higher number than I thought, too.
yeah, there's 15 that call the base home. But if you were to drive down the base, like I did less than an hour ago, there's only 3 that are parked there.
Well,
And
that are in port right
That are
now.
in port. The rest are out either
out.
training or on missions or coming back from a mission. So, so our submarine force is still very active in this area.
Yeah, which is nice to see. I mean, I grew up with a lot of the kids, Fitch graduates, so there was a lot of kids there, that were in our class that was particularly from that, the
Right.
submarine.
Right. Fitch,
base.
Charles Bonham Elementary
Yeah.
School is a large
Yeah.
Navy public
Pleasant
population there.
Valley.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
West Side.
Yeah, and so Susan, just kind of getting back to, and I've worked with you a lot over the years, how important is this event and sort of getting the message out to our community that we've got this gem in the back, our backyard, and also this gem as far as the airport. How important is that message?
As you know, the GBA is very inclusive.
Yes.
Everyone is invited. We don't exclude anyone. And that carries over into the business community in Groton when you're thinking about the sub-base. And to a growing extent to our airport, because there is an industrial park out there and a lot of commercial traffic. So many of our businesses have employees who are retired Navy families. Their kids are in the schools. They did a school project at Westside Middle School earlier this year where they had large maps and students put pins on all the places that they've been.
Wow. I bet they've been a lot of places.
They have
Yeah.
been many,
Yeah.
many places, and it really started conversations. So that sort of thing is what we want to promote through all of the projects that we, the GBA, and Submarine Century, because I am part of that.
Right,
I'm on the
right.
XCOM along with Mark, and at this event. So it is a gala, and if you want to dress, we encourage that. We would
Wow,
love
that's
it.
right up
and
my
you know
alley.
what?
I don't know about
I'm
you,
dressing.
Kristen.
You know what? Some people put on shorts and a
And that's
fresh
okay,
pair
too.
of flip-flops, and they're dressed. And you know what?
Yeah.
Come
on
on!
in. Yeah.
Bring it on!
So we only
There's
have
actually, I wanted to mention, there's a buy one, get one free special.
Yes.
and
and
that's
just get on
what I
the
Ticket
yes.
buying
Right.
for, there we have it on the screen.
You're the best, Frank, always.
Eleanor.
And just for a little wrap up, because we only have a few minutes in here, actually about 1 minute, where do the proceeds go?
The proceeds go to the Connecticut Submarine Centuries project
Okay.
to bring the sale of the USS Groton back home for permanent display.
Are you hearing that, everybody? So
It's
make
a
sure.
decommissioned submarine.
Fantastic. Make sure you support this event and support year-round, too. Susan, it's always a pleasure having you on. It's
Thank
an
you for
easy
having
show
me.
when Susan Bailey's on
Love being
the
here.
show. Mark Jones, I hope to see you in the future.
Absolutely,
And I hope our
anytime.
paths cross once again. Kristen Hartnett, as usual, I'll see you next week.
Thanks
We
to
do
that.
this every week. And for you, all of our members out there, good evening. We are Mystic Matters, the greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce.